All right, what is up, y'all? Today is day 7 of PR 30. Today's topic is going to be on Dante's Purgatory, specifically on the process of purgation or purging. Now, a lot of people, when they think about purgatory, think about it as a type of prison or a place that you are sent. To the extent you believe in purgatory, you think about it as a place that you're sent to wait, imprisonment, because you weren't good enough to make it to heaven. The way that Dante imagines it, and the way that purgatory comes through in his second installment of the Divine Comedy, is truly, if you think about the root of purgatory and its relation to this purge means to purify. Purgatory is a place where you go to purify yourself to live in the presence of the divine. So the idea is that all of the souls that end up in purgatory in Dante's Divine Comedy go through this process of purification as they ascend the terraces of Mount Purgatorio. It's not a prison, it is a preparation for paradise. That is how Dante sees purgatory. Now, one of my favorite scenes or images or visuals from purgatory comes after he's ascended the Mount Purgatorio, and right before he passes over into paradise, he comes to a wall of flames, and he has to go through this wall of flames in order to get to paradise. So we're going to look at the actual text, Anthony Esselin version. It's my favorite translation. So this is in Canto 27. Each of the installments of the Divine Comedy has 33 cantos, except the Inferno, which has 34 as a representation of it can't have the holiness of the number 33, so it needs 34. Anyway, so Canto 27, poets, meaning Dante and Virgil, who is Dante's guide, they sort of come to the top of Mount Purgatory, having gone through all of the various terraces, and watched as the various souls purge themselves of the sins, the 7 deadly sins. That's what these terraces represent. They come to the top, and what they see there is a wall of flames. And on the other side of this wall of flames, they know is paradise. And so let's just this is how Canto 27 starts. As the first rays were trembling in the dawn, in the land where its maker shed its blood, and high in heaven the scales loomed over Spain, and noonday burned the waves of the Ganges. So here the day was ready to depart, when the herald of God appeared in joy beyond the flame, at the edge of the ring, singing, "How blessed are they the pure in heart, far livelier than a human voice can sing." Then, "Holy souls, you pass no farther unless you're bitten by the fire. Come, enter, and turn no deaf ear to the hymns beyond." So they come to this wall of flame, and this voice beyond, this angel, says, you can't go any further unless you go through this flame. This is line 13 now. "So did he say to us when we drew near, and I was like a corpse put in the grave. The words I heard so touched my heart with fear." So Dante shows up, sees this wall of flames he's just told he has to walk through to get to paradise, and he is paralyzed with fear. He doesn't want to do it. "I joined my hands and stretched them to the flames, gazing, seeing too sharply in my mind bodies I'd seen die burning at the stake." So he's got this memory in his mind of bodies burning at the stake and the pain they went through, and that is what he is envisioning for himself when he sees this wall of flames that stands between himself and paradise. "My worthy guides then turned around to me, and Virgil said, 'My son, there may indeed be torment here, but death can never be. Just remember, when we rode on Gurion's back, I led you safely down. What will I do now that we're nearer God? Stand in this fire's belly 1,000 years. You must believe it for a certainty. You would not be balder by a single hair.'" So here we have sort of this reminiscent story. If you go think about the story of Daniel in the Bible, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, they get thrown into the fire, and they're not harmed by the fire. So there's something of this image that gets called here by Virgil when he's telling Dante, hey, I know you think this is going to hurt, but don't fear. What's happening is paradise is just on the other end, and you're not going to come out any the worse. You're not going to perish like those people you watch burn at the stake. Continuing, if you think what I tell you is a lie, come closer, test it for yourself. Come here, put your hands to your tunic's hem and try. Now set aside all your fear. Turn round this way, be confident, come in. Dante, yet I stood firm against my conscience. When he saw me stiffened and immovable, he said, a little troubled, son, look now. What's keeping you from Beatrice is this wall. So this is when we find this idea that this metaphor in this flame of purgatory is kind of a metaphor for life. And this, you may have heard the saying, everything you've ever wanted is on the other side of fear. And that's what's happening at the top of purgatory. There's wall of fear represented by the flames, and Dante is scared to death of being licked by this inferno and what it's going to do to him. But Virgil is reminding him of what waits for him on the side. Virgil is his guide, his guardian, in a sense. And he's saying, listen, you have to love what's on the other side more than you fear the pain of walking through these flames. These flames, the refining flames, are necessary to put you in the presence of the divine. Without it, you have too much excess around you. Your spirit isn't pure enough to exist in the presence of the divine. So there's something about this purification, this purifying fire, this wall of flame that Dante has to go through. So Virgil, tells him, listen, not only is paradise on their side, but Beatrice, who's Dante's former lover, Beatrice is waiting for you. Everything you've ever wanted. As at the name of Thisbe, Pyramus lifted his brow to look upon her face. Though he was dying and his crimson blood had stained the mulberry, so too my wise guide, I turned. My stiffness softened at the name that ever rises fresh within my mind. At that he shook his head at me and smiled. Now really, do we want to stay back there? As when a promised apple wins a child, into the flames he went ahead of me, asking that Statius come along and back who walked between us on the narrow way. The blaze there inside did so surpass all measure, that to feel the cool again, I'd have flung myself into boiling glass. But my sweet father spoke of Beatrice with every step he took to comfort me. I think I can already see her eyes. And we were guided by a singing voice from past the flames, and turning toward the sound, we came out where you climbed to reach the peak. O all ye blessed of my father, come, resounding from within a dazzling gleam, too mighty for my eyes to look upon. The evening falls, the sun goes down to rest. Do not pause, but determined to press on before the heavens darken in the west. The road rose straight within the walls of stone in the direction where my shadows lay, blocking the rays of the declining sun, and up the stairs we climbed a little way when the shadow's disappearance, I and my wise poet sensed the sun had set. So Dante does it. He sort of gathers his courage, his strength, and he steps through those flames. All holding on to this promise that what waits for him on the other side is paradise. Before the vast and endless sweep of sky assumed the same appearance everywhere, and night had spread its darkness all over, each of us made our bed upon a stair, for the mount's nature crushed in us the strength and the delight in climbing any higher. As ruminating goats rest meek and mild, who in the hills before they found their feed scamper from peak to peak and run half wild. Though the sun burns, they lie in the still shade, watched by the goatherd lean on his staff, granting his little flock the ease they need. And as the coward will remain awake all night alongside his quiet herd, lest any beast should come and drive them off, so too the three of us were resting then. I as the goat, and they my keepers, all swaddled up in the high walls of that den. The opening to the sky beyond was small, but through it I could see the twinkling stars, brighter and bigger than usual. So another theme that I love in all of Dante, each of the Inferno, which is the first installment, Purgatorio, we're not there yet, but the end of it, and then Paradise. Each of it ends with the word stars. Dante was a medieval, and as a medieval, he sort of represents this culmination of the medieval cosmic worldview. When they looked at the stars were a sort of guide as something more timeless and unchangeable than what we see on Earth. They were this representation of a movement upward towards the eternally unchanging thing, the divine exemplar. In Timaeus, Plato would call this the craftsman. And there's sort of this hierarchical view of nature and of being that says the craftsman, and this is Timaeus, the craftsman who was all being, perfect, ideal, sort of started with the creation of the heavens and then moved himself downward. So he created the heavens and then the stars, and then sort of underneath that, there's a few more rings removed from the divine. He creates man. And so there is this, it goes back to another Platonic idea of man as the microcosm. So every time Dante looks at the stars as a guide, it's sort of as if he is viewing his ancestors that are closer to the unchanging nature of the eternal and divine. So it's sort of, there's this looking up that happens when he looks at the stars as visible signs of an invisible God. That is what the stars represent throughout the Divine Comedy. And it's a big reason why I chose This Way to the Stars as the title for my first series of books. Is because it's the same sort of longing and idea that they are, as the highest, most unchanging things we can see with our eyes, invite us to seek that which is beyond it. It is this invitation to come closer and commune with the divine and eternal. That is the promise of the stars. So this is just a taste of Purgatory and Dante and a few of my favorite images and scenes. The takeaway from today, if you'll remember, you must love what's beyond the wall of flames more than you fear the pain. That is true for every pursuit in life, because the prize, the reward, paradise goes to the one who can remember that what waits on the other side of the flames is everything they've ever wanted. With that, that's the end of today's video. I hope you enjoyed. Till tomorrow, peace.